Miamees On Fire. At least that's what they tell us. We're going to go ahead and we're going to discuss trash today. We're talking garbage. We're talking waste. We're talking all of it. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Invest Company. I'm joined here by my partner, Oscar Musibay. He works over at Lee and Associates. Oscar's running a little bit late. This would be the part of the program where I say, Oscar, please explain what fire is. And what Oscar would say, and many more words than I'm going to say, it means something's really hot, it's exciting, it's good, it's bad. And the premise of the program is, let's take some hot topics going on in the Tri-County, South Florida area, let's boil it down, and let's see if this is just hyperbole or if this is actually reality. And we're talking waste today. We're actually talking waste management. We're talking WM. Let me go ahead and introduce our guest today. Not one, we got two. We got Yvonne Nelson. She's a senior account executive. I got that right, Yvonne?
Yes.
Yes. And we reached out. We got Dawn McCormick. She came all the way down from Boca Raton to talk about trash. She is director of communications. She's been around forever. She's also a former journalist. Used to do TV. She was doing TV in a place called Green Bay. If you're a football fan, you don't like Green Bay, and she was there. But ironically, she's from Chicago. Big rivalry, Chicago, Green Bay. So welcome, ladies. Let's talk trash.
Thanks, Peter. We appreciate it.
Thank you for making the time for us. Thanks for coming down to South Miami, the headquarters. Miami Community News, been around forever, ever. If anybody has not been here, come in, pay a visit, ask for Grant Miller, one of the publishers. He's not doing anything anyway, so just ask him to give you a tour and everything will go great. And as well as Michael, ask for Michael as well. So let's talk a little bit about trash, waste, management. Give us some Google 30,000-foot aerials. When we talk trash, we talk recycling. What does everything kind of mean? Layman's terms, somebody who doesn't have an education. How do you guys differentiate?
Great. Well, we're really pleased to both work for WM. I've been there 18 years. 18. It is a Fortune 200 company. We're based in Houston.
$85 billion market cap.
Yeah. We are North America's largest recycler. So we process more recycling than any company in the hemisphere. We also own landfills, so we can dispose of trash. We also collect material curbside, including for many of the areas in Miami-Dade County. We've made major investments in Florida, over $300 million the last 5 years in recycling infrastructure. Really pleased that we opened a facility in Pembroke Pines just 2 months ago, WM Recycling South Florida. So all of the Miami-Dade County recycling that you put curbside or that our trucks collect at our businesses go to that plant. But anyway, we're not just a trash company, we're a sustainability company, and we're also an energy company. And maybe later on I can get into a little bit about what renewable energy plants we're building, because again, we've invested about $180 million the last 2 years in that type of facility. So that's why we're WM. We're not waste management anymore because we're so much more than just a waste company.
Interesting. And anybody who's a long timer, you've been around South Florida for quite some time, you remember a name called Wayne Huizenga. Why was Wayne important? He's the one who brought the Florida Marlins, now today's Miami Marlins. He brought them down. Florida Panthers, credit him for that as well. And he actually owned the Miami Dolphins. What's the connection between Mr. Huizenga, who's now passed? He also was involved with like I said, the Miami Dolphins. What's the connection between him and waste management? How did it all come about? What's the evolution? You don't have to give us a long history, but anybody who's out there thinking, waste management, Wayne Huizenga, Blockbuster, what is video and waste and MWM? How does it all kind of come together?
Well, the Huizenga family was the founders of the company, along with a few other gentlemen. It came out of the Chicago area. So Wayne's dad's name was Ham Huizenga. There was a couple other brothers. Wayne came down here to bring the waste industry down here. He bought a lot of companies. He started a landfill in 1965, which we now call Monarch Hill in Broward County. But he really brought the company down into Florida. And today, the Florida area for WM is a major contributor to the entire company's revenue. About 10% of the revenue for the entire enterprise is generated here in Florida. So still a really big part of it, but now the company is publicly traded. The Huizenga family has no longer been involved for many, many decades, but people still associate us with it. And it's a great association because the Huizenga family have done so much good in Florida from a philanthropic perspective, but also from a sports perspective. And that legacy is really continued because today, WM has a major partnership with Major League Baseball. We are the sustainability partner. We're doing things with over 20 of the Major League Baseball teams, including the Marlins, and we service them. But when we do sustainability, it's not just recycling, it's energy conservation, water conservation. We help these teams be more sustainable. We also have that partnership with the Florida Panthers. So it's been exciting the last couple seasons during the Stanley Cup run. We've spent a lot of time at Amarin Bank. We also service their new facility in Fort Lauderdale, where they have the Baptist Health Iceplex and the War Memorial. So WM is a huge partner for the Panthers, really proud of that. And we also service Hard Rock Stadium for the Miami Dolphins. And obviously we had Formula One, we've got World Cup coming. So our teams work 24/7 around the clock during all those major sporting events at all of those facilities. So the early Huizenga legacy and commitment to sports in South Florida continues this day with WM.
What a legacy. What goodwill in terms of the name recognition and the association. That's absolutely spectacular. Real quick, what's the difference between waste and trash and garbage? Is it all the same? Is it synonymous? Or because if I throw around a term, I want to make sure I get it correctly.
Do you want to take that?
Well, it's MSW, I mean, municipal solid waste, and one of the things that we're
I know, but I'm talking layman's terms. Like listen, if I go to Pollo Tropical, I pick up like a full chicken. By the way, have you seen the prices lately? Oh my God! You go there, you pick up a chicken, you get 4 biscuits, whatever. Now, when I'm done with all of that, what do you call that? Is that trash? Is it garbage? Is it waste? Is it? You're probably going to say it's recyclable.
Some of it is. The bags are. Absolutely. That's one of our initiatives. We want to educate a lot of people that we can handle all of those solutions, where sustainability is at the forefront of what we do. And also we were doing this educating fans recently at the World Baseball Classic. You know, just going there, even when people are a little wasted, you got to remind them, hey, that what you're drinking is recyclable. So.
And the crowds for the World Baseball Classic, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. Doesn't matter where the team comes from. They just come, I mean, they don't show up for the Miami Marlins the same way, but during the World Baseball Classic, I think I went to one of the first ones back when it was wasn't Joe Robbie at the time. I think it was Pro Player or whatever, you know, before the big renovations. But no, spectacular.
I volunteered at the Venezuela team game, and it was off the hook. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And that stadium was fantastic.
Was fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome.
But your question was, and you can interchange waste, garbage, trash.
Okay, same thing.
Same thing. We tend to use trash. I don't know, but you could use any of them.
Got it. Okay, now let's go back to the origins, because I think a lot of people are going to find this kind of interesting. So you had mentioned that Wayne Huizenga's father came down. He bought a piece of dirt, and he says, you know what? Instead of building a condo, we don't need another mall. Let's make it a landfill. How exactly does that come about? And could you actually go out and say, you know what, I'm going to set the landfill today?
Well, today it's very difficult. It's very hard. We call them greenfield projects, brand new, buy a piece of dirt. Very hard to get it cited because you have a lot of community opposition.
I wonder why.
And so we work in this industry. Obviously, we have 1,000 people a day still moving to Florida. You know,
but let me tell you, there is a book called Bubble in the Sun, written by, it's a fantastic book. If you haven't read it, you have to. Back in the 1920s, during the Florida land boom, according to this book, which is nonfiction, 10,000 people a day, just to give you context, when everybody was rushing in here. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but we have 22 million people. Now we have 23 million people. So, and people would love to do low waste or zero waste, but the reality is we're all still consuming as much as we ever have. I mean, we're all getting those boxes at the front door every day. The amount of trash that we're generating is still high. So we have to plan for it. Our elected officials have to plan for it, and it's challenging. When you run out of landfill space, nobody wants a new one in your backyard. When you have a waste to energy plan and you're incinerating your household waste like you've had in Miami-Dade County and the emergency with the Covanta plant burning down in 2022, that has to go somewhere. And we talk about people put it out at your curb and it disappears, and that's kind of all they want to
It's
care
magical.
But
it's up there with Amazon.
Poof, it's gone.
You just, you put something in and all of a sudden this package arrives and you put out your trash and all of a sudden it's gone.
But when we don't pick it up, or when there's a barricaded, it's there too long,
Yeah.
we hear about it. And it's funny because people in Florida and elsewhere, they kind of have the rhythm of their day, and they're used to their garbage man, their trash man coming at 2:00 on Mondays and Thursdays, or noon on Wednesdays and Fridays.
And when they're late,
and
you
when
know
we're
it.
late,
Yeah.
we get a call.
Where
Like,
are they
"Where are
today?"
you?"
It's kind of like, it's back in the day when you used to get the newspaper delivered, the daily. And if that paper wasn't there when you got up,
Yeah.
some of us got up earlier than others, but when you got up, if it wasn't there, you were calling and complaining. Same thing with the waste.
Yeah. So people don't realize, I mean, for most residents, we touch your home 4 times a week. And most houses have twice a week trash pickup, once a week recycling, once a week yard waste bulk. So, I mean, there are millions of touch points that we have with our customers throughout the state of Florida. And so when we get it right, nobody generally notices.
Yeah.
We don't get too many thank yous. Sometimes we do. But when we don't meet expectations, we hear about it. And that's why Yvonne has a full-time job, and that's why I have a full-time job, is keeping our customers happy, making sure we have outstanding service, which we do. And our frontline people who are the drivers are our unsung heroes. They're out there in the heat of the summer and the rains of the fall, and they do a great job. And as long as we make sure it disappears and you don't have to worry about it, everyone's happy.
All right, now I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to this type of stuff, but do we have any figure how many landfills actually exist? Tri-County, South Florida area, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County? Any ballpark figure, or how many landfills WM controls or owns or leases?
So WM has 15 landfills in the Florida area.
1.5. And this is 67 counties, state of Florida.
Yeah. But gosh, I don't know. A lot of counties have their own landfills. I mean, Miami-Dade has the South Miami landfill. Broward has one. But there's, in these large counties, there's 2 or 3 landfills. But the space, the airspace of what's remaining is very challenged. So
there's actually a height limit on a landfill.
Yeah, because it's a 3-to-1 slope, which means if you have a base, I'll take, for example, the Broward landfill that WM owns, which is called Monarch Hill.
And where would it be so people have a point of reference?
So if you're going up the turnpike, it's at Sample Road.
Okay.
And you see it right there from the turnpike. So it's very visible. Hundreds of thousands of cars go by a day. And so it's the operator's role and my role as a communication person to make sure we're operating safely, professionally. We don't have odors, we don't have birds and everything else. But that base is, the plot of land is 500 acres. The actual base of the landfill is about 350 acres, but it can only go up on a 3-to-1 slope. So originally it had been permitted to 225 feet. That was as tight. And it doesn't go up like a block of cheese. It goes up as a pyramid.
Sure.
So recently, Broward County realized that they were running out of landfill space, and that you need it. There's still some things that can't be recycled, that can't be incinerated in a waste to energy facility. And the material that goes into Monarch Hill is already recycled, and it's construction and demolition debris primarily and bulk waste. So Broward County made a challenging decision, because there was some local opposition, to allow that landfill to go up another 100 feet to 325 feet.
325 feet. Everybody, 10 feet roughly is a story, as a floor, at least in a residential tower. So 325 feet, we're talking 32, 33-story building.
Yeah, so it's going to go higher. You will see it from the turnpike. Residents will only, again, see it like this, but you needed landfill space. And Broward County was not going to be able to site a new landfill in Coral Springs or Miramar or anywhere else.
Put it in Boca Raton. Come on, Broward County, Boca Raton. Put it somewhere up there.
Yeah, well, and so that's what some folks say. But anyway, we work very hard to be good neighbors. We responsibly, and the material that's coming in there has already been recycled, so it has to go somewhere. So when you have 2 million people living in Broward, same in Miami-Dade County, and
no, Miami-Dade's like 3, 2.8, and I think what's Palm Beach, like 1.6, 1.5, something like that.
Miami's got, so it has to go somewhere.
Yes.
And so it's the role of a responsible company to make sure we do it, and we do it well, and we do it very environmentally sensitive. And so we work a lot with the community. We work the regulators, but yeah.
So for instance, just to get on the landfill, then we'll kind of drill down into it. So either the county owns it, or an entity will own the dirt. If they got here before, they got approval, they were able to build their own privately owned landfill. If the county has it, the county, if you need to drop stuff, if WM needs to drop off stuff, can they do that? Or do you have to go to your own landfill? What are sort of the logistics?
You have contracts. I mean, it's certain landfills. I mean, again, the county kind of regulates where it goes. Like
Got
in
it.
Palm Beach County, it's very flow controlled. Everything has to stay in Palm Beach County.
Okay.
Broward and Miami-Dade a little bit more open. But each of the landfills have the regulations of what they will accept,
Okay.
who their customers are, the contracts they have. So, and some of them are open gate rate where a landscape company, or if you have something, you can take it there. So it's every landfill will have different requirements, regulations,
All right.
pricing.
So tell me what I did wrong, everybody. We were doing renovations on our place. We're renovating it. This is probably 20 years ago. We're renovating a place. And we said, you know what? Let's save some money. Let's drive down to Caribbean Boulevard, which is down near Homestead in and around Florida City. So we had a bunch of stuff. So we go to the landfill, and you're looking up at this landfill, and Mount Trashmore is what they locally refer to. So you go in there, and we're like, well, okay, what's going to happen? We're in a pickup truck, borrowed a buddy's pickup truck. So we're going in there, and they actually weighed how much our vehicle and how much we were in there. I was a little lighter at the time. So then we drive up. We go up this whole long, you would have thought you were in the Alps.
Yeah.
Swiss Alps. So you get to the top. Let me tell you, the best view in Miami is on top of a trash. Because you can see Monroe County. You can see the Florida Keys. And then wouldn't you know it, it rained. It started raining. You had like vultures and birds and seagull, or I think they call them gulls now or whatever, but you got the seagulls around.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you get back in the car, you get home. Oh my God. And it didn't matter how many showers you took. It took a little while. So that's kind of a lot more color than you probably wanted. But is that still possible? Can people still go and take their own stuff there? I mean, I don't know how much of a cost savings there was for me, but we kind of wanted to be in control and, and so on and so forth.
We have a cool service called Bagster. You can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, you buy the bag, and then you set it up through service. It's great for home renovations, and I highly recommend it. A lot of people aren't aware that this exists, but it's a great solution.
So you're telling me I could have just bought that bag at Home Depot, put it all in there, and I wouldn't have to schlep all the way down to Caribbean Boulevard, dump it off, get rained on, try to get rid of the smell. See, that's why you watch Miamees on Fire, because of tips like this.
Yeah, you'll save yourself a lot of headache. Another
plus the smell.
Yeah, another cool thing that we do, we don't burn, we bury everything. So when you go up on the landfill, and when I first started with WM, I had to ride in the truck so I can get full visibility of our operations. And, our drivers really are, safety and service is at the forefront of everything that we do. The driver huddles in the morning. They're always reviewing secured, how to do everything safe and sound. And you go up there and you see all day long, it's like just bulldozers. It's a very moving environment, which is it's pretty awesome.
All right. So any suggestions? There's some guy supposedly he bought a bunch of Bitcoin way back in the day. He had it on a thumb drive. Somehow it got tossed out. This is when Bitcoin was like nothing. Now it's like 80 grand, 100,000. And supposedly he approached a landfill in the UK. And he said, listen, my thumb drive's in there and it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Can I pay you to basically go through it all? And they wouldn't allow him to do it. So if anybody locally has a thumb drive and they happen to drop it off in one of your landfills, is there a possibility that you guys know where everything is in the landfill, or is it all broad?
We know every day where we filled. And I will say, I over these many years, we've had a few occasions where someone's lost a diamond ring.
Oh.
Yep.
And usually a ring.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a couple of times, bags of cash.
It's Miami, right?
Florida, not just down here, but everywhere in Florida. And we will get those panicked calls. And we will figure out which truck serviced their home or their business. And generally, when we can, we will go to the landfill and we will figure out, where the trash came in. And
so it's got like a quadrant or something.
Yes, it's a quadrant for that day, and we know where it is. And we will try to find, and we have had great success stories of finding bags of cash and rings and some valuables.
That's amazing.
It doesn't happen all the time, and it's really a one-off, and we can't guarantee we can do it. But I will say there's some good, and if you probably Google stories, they're out there. But
I have one too. One of my colleagues, just a few months ago, there were some expensive purses that got disposed of in a compactor, and he was a hero. He went in, he got them, and was able to recover them. So there is opportunity opportunity to find it. I mean, don't lose your Bitcoin key. Just,
You do not want to. All right, so I'm gonna give you one last story, and this is a revenue operation, a revenue opportunity for WM and for anybody out there. So I went to Mumbai. I was in India. So I'm in India, and one of the tourist attractions is actually going to the landfill. You go to the landfill because of the movie Slumdog Millionaires.
Yeah.
So the landfill is like a destination. You're actually paying money to go and visit a landfill. Why isn't WM? How come you guys aren't offering tours of the landfill?
We actually do.
Get out of here. Look at this. This is why you watch Miamees On Fire. Please tell us more.
No, so not all of our landfills, but especially the one in Broward County called Monarch Hill. And because we were going through, the county to be able to expand and to meet the needs of Broward County, for 10 years in a row, we did Earth Day celebrations, and we had over 1,200 students and their families there every Earth Day. And we had buses, and we went up, and we had educational displays and things. Now, because the landfill has expanded, we don't have room for 1,200 people at a time. But on occasion,
it's kind of like Machu Picchu.
Yeah,
you're in Peru. You take that little train up. It's perfect.
But one of the reasons we didn't have a lot of community opposition, and they know, is because we've had so many people, over 10,000 people from Coconut Creek and Deerfield Beach, the surrounding communities, who've come to the landfill over the years and realized what we do there. And it was educational and good community relations. And now we have some of the homeowners association groups from around there occasionally will call, and we will get a bus and we will take them up there because there's nothing to hide. So we don't do it on a daily basis. We don't charge for it. But if we have interested stakeholder groups that really want the education of understanding what's happening there, we still are able to do that.
Grant Miller, Miami Community News, you need to put together a tour. Bring together a bunch of people. Reach out to Dawn. Reach out to Yvonne and see if you could give everybody a tour of some of the landfills in South Florida. I think it would be fantastic, especially with your personality. What are you waiting for? So reach out to them. They will set you up.
We will.
They will definitely set you up. All right, so I want to ask another question. We're gonna kind of drill down a little bit. Now we kind of got a big picture. Recycling. I had heard that China was buying a bunch of materials that would be recycled. They don't want it anymore. Now it's going to Cambodia or Thailand. I don't know what the truth is, but I read a lot of The Economist, stuff like that. Do people really recycle, or are cities just collecting it and then basically it's just getting sent into a landfill? Because there's been some stories about if the Chinese aren't buying it, or maybe somebody in Southeast Asia isn't buying it, there's not really a market, and sometimes you got to come out of pocket to actually pay for the recycling for the feel-good aspect rather than the actual ecological advantage.
Right, and I'm going to give big picture and then let Yvonne talk more about the condos and the households here in Miami-Dade County. But recycling is real. It really happens.
Okay.
We built a $90 million facility, WM Recycling South Florida. That's where Miami-Dade material goes. And if you send us good, clean material, and the simple rules are paper, cardboard, plastic bottles, jugs, and tubs, aluminum and steel cans, in your glass bottles and containers. If you send us just those things, don't wish cycle, don't pick other things, it gets recycled. Now, because China closed its markets 5 or 6 years ago, the good news is we developed a lot more domestic markets. So 100% of the plastics that WM recycles here in Florida stay domestically. So we're not shipping plastic overseas. We're not doing ocean patches and all of that. About 75% of the cardboard and paper stays here. So we have paper mills, we have aluminum can manufacturing plants, and they need this virgin material. So the exciting thing about our new plant, WM Recycling South Florida, amazing technology, AI, fabulous.
Everybody's getting the AI, and doesn't matter if you're making shoes, you're doing anything. The AI. So you guys are actually effectively using AI.
Yes, and to help sort everything into the right bales, and to make sure the bales at the end are really pure and clean, so that they have the most market value. So recycling economically makes sense and environmentally. And a couple quick stats: we will process 275,000 tons of material there this year. By doing that, the environmental benefits are we will save 660 100,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions will be avoided. We'll save 1.6 million trees and hundreds of billions of gallons of water because we won't have
to
to
save
use
the water because of the AI.
Yeah.
You need to be able to keep the plant, the data centers going.
So recycling really works. If you send us the material, we have markets for it. There's value to it. Now, it might cost a couple dollars more than if you just put it in a landfill or do the waste to energy. But when you look at those environmental benefits that I just spelled out, it's the right thing to do. And it really is a couple dollars a month. It's not huge incremental costs to us picking up your trash and doing something else with it. So we will really want to encourage our businesses to do it. And Yvonne really knows what's best for our businesses.
Yeah, I work with a lot of property managers, boards, and one of the pain points that we experience is a lot of education. And the reason why is because we got so many people renting and not owning. Renting, they just don't care, and they're just too much turnover. So one of the things that I recommend is always just, constantly educate your tenants. Signage, postage, post it everywhere. Make sure that, keep it simple. If you're experiencing problems with contamination, just simplify it, maybe eliminate all other things that a lot of people do. The repeat offenders that we see a lot of are styrofoam and a lot of air filters and plastic bags.
Air filters, like for the air conditioning.
For the vents, yeah. They throw that in there because it has the filter. The lining is cardboard, and that's okay, but the rest isn't. Everything is.
So an air conditioning filter has to go in the regular trash or waste or garbage.
Yeah. The takeaway is that when in doubt, throw it out, because if it's not straight cardboard. And post pandemic, there's just been, I've seen some places that one of my properties on the beach, they took their trash room and they had to convert it into a receiving room because there's just such an influx of boxes. Yeah, we work with a lot of people with busy loading docks, and I'm out on the field all day long. All I see are Amazon trucks, FedEx trucks that bring in cardboard. And so that's one of the things that we see. We have solutions for that. You can do a finding committee. I see a lot of people, all the property managers are like, how do we fix this? Find them, do a finding committee. We have solutions. Just slot the recycling bins, maybe put a lock bar, just keep it simple.
So let's go back to the recycling. Oh, by the way, I've been talking to Oscar. Do you have any questions for Dawn or Yvonne? Because I've been hogging the whole thing. No? Okay, Oscar, I'll go ahead and I'll ask another question. Everybody, he's running late. He says he calls himself the Cuber, the Cuban Uber. I haven't had a car since 2013. In order for me to do the program, he said he would pick me up. So now Oscar, of course, is running late, and I am here on time thanks to Uber, everybody. So let's go back to the conversation. Just want to make sure that everybody knows that Oscar's actually running late. He says he's diehard. He's always going to be here, blah, blah, blah. He likes to talk a lot. He talks way too much.
Well, we miss you, Oscar.
Yeah. No, he's not that impressive. Trust me. He's not that impressive. He's definitely not good looking either, I would say. Oscar, I love you, man. All right, so I want to get into the specific projects, but in the buildings and what you're kind of seeing trend-wise. But I do have a question. So when you go and you're able to get the recyclable materials, and you said that they come in bundles. You guys bundle up the materials, whether it be
at the end of the processing.
Now, do you actually is that a commodity where you're able to retrade it? Or do you guys have contracts where you'll take that plastic and you'll simply retrade it to somebody, maybe like Mattel, who makes toys or something like that? How does that kind of work?
So when you see our tipping floor there, everything comes just out of the truck, and it's a mismatch of everything, and you're like, how in the world is this going to get sorted?
Exactly.
But it's put on the dual line, 60 tons an hour, and it goes up, and again through 2 miles of conveyor belt.
2 miles.
And
but it's not just long; it goes around.
Up and down. Multi-level. When we do tours, and you can do a tour there, you walk up 3 stories, and there's conveyors all the way down. But by the end, and through using 18 optical scanners, which are computerized by using AI, and only some hand sorting, you still need a little quality control. But by the end, those materials get put in bunkers, and you have your number one water bottles, you have your milk jugs, you have your Tide laundry detergents, you have your aluminum cans, you have just other kinds of aluminum. We try to keep cans separate. You have your steel, and they are in bunkers. And then that material goes into a baler, and they are squeezed into these bales, and bales might weigh 1,000 pounds. I mean, they're huge. And then we push those out, and you have forklifts, and we send about 50 semi-trailer trucks of material out the back door every day.
Amazing.
The paper and the cardboard goes to paper manufacturing plants, many of them in Georgia and things, and you get new cardboard boxes, you get recycled paper, you get recycled napkins, things. And it's important that people buy products made of recycled content, because you're part of the circular economy. But then the plastic gets baled. You've got your water bottles separate from your milk jugs, and those go out the back door, and they go to different companies. One is KW Plastics in Alabama. That plastic is made into pellets. It's then sent to other locations. We have a partnership with a company called Reprieve in North Carolina that takes the plastic and makes yarn, and that's what makes sneakers and backpacks. And the WM uniforms that our drivers wear are made of recycled plastic water bottles. So there is a circularity to it, and we all play a part. And it's, again, especially buying products made of that content. But if you have a chance to buy something and it has recycled content, please do so, because that's your plastic water bottle. And an aluminum can, a soda can, can be back on your store shelf in 60 days.
60-day turnaround.
Yeah. And it's the most important thing to recycle from an environmental standpoint. Huge savings in energy and water.
So everybody who drinks beer, if you're a beer drinker, make sure you take those cans, especially if you're getting a 40 ounce or like Oscar, make sure you're recycling it. 60 days later, it could be back on the shelf.
And if you're on a boat or you're fishing or you're playing golf and you're drinking aluminum, make sure you bring those home and recycle them if you can't find a recycling on the go, because it's so important. We only recycle about 16% of the aluminum cans here in Florida.
1/6.
It's 1/6.
Oh my God, we are underachievers.
Way underachievers. And we could do so much more. Plus, that would help the economics of recycling, because our cities and counties on their revenue share would get so much more back if their residents were recycling more, especially aluminum cans. Huge.
But how do people know? And Yvonne, I don't know if you can answer this or Dawn.
Sure.
I look at the bottom of like a piece of plastic, and there's like numbers and this and that and BP this and all that. Is there a simple rule of thumb when you look at the bottom of maybe something? It suggests to you that what you can do with it, is it recyclable, is it not? Come on, crack the code for us. Can you help us understand?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just keep it simple. Keep it loose, dry, and don't bag it, because if it's bagged, it's going to clog our machines, and then we got to stop it, and that's why we get hit with contamination fees. So that's one of the.
And what about the bags? Can you recycle the bags if they're
the plastic bags? No, you don't want to bag it.
Take those back to Publix or any of your supermarkets, because they can separate them. In our machinery, it's problematic. But you were asking specifically a little bit about the plastic numbers.
Yeah. You look at the bottom, there tends to be something. Yeah.
We've kind of gotten away from those numbers, because what that means is
nobody knew what they were.
It just means what they're made of. It doesn't. So when you think of plastic, think bottles, narrow neck bottles, jugs, milk jugs, and
laundry detergent
tubs like yogurt in sour cream, and then laundry detergent. But also, so we say bottles, tubs, jugs, and now we can take cups. So we can take, if you go to Starbucks and you have
like
a cold beverage, paper, and we worked with them, the lining is enough. So we can do cups. But if it's any other kind of plastic, if it's a Fisher-Price toy, or if it's your laundry basket, or it's any,
And no straws.
Yeah, and no straws. Yeah.
That goes in the garbage.
Yeah.
Even if they're the paper straws, because some cities want paper straws.
It has film on it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. No plastic or paper.
Interesting.
But if you go to your city or your county website, or if you go to WM.com, Recycle Right, there's always educational material. But as Yvonne said, keep it simple. Don't try to recycle and do things just because you think you're being virtuous. You're actually hurting the process. But we're only recycling 9% of water bottles. So everybody knows their water bottle is recyclable. Let's do a better job of capturing and recycling the things we know actually have value and someone else is willing to market those for you.
Now, when Oscar was younger, Oscar, you were telling me stories that there used to be garbage, but let's call them men because that's what they've heard. You'd go around, they would have like a truck there, maybe pick up these cans or whatever, these large oil barrels basically, and they would dump it into the thing, and then the automation caught up. Next thing you know, you had one driver per vehicle, and it goes around and there's like a green bin or it's a blue bin. If they're recycling, it goes by, it swings by, this arm comes out, it throws it up. Waste management, or excuse me, WM, you guys are really a technology company, you're a logistics company. When it really comes down to it, the only product you're moving is trash, waste, garbage, recycling, but you're really a sophisticated waste management type of company. What is the next, what's coming around the corner, if you will, in waste? And then after that, Yvonne, I want to get into some of these buildings and some of the stuff you're seeing. Just talking big picture, because AI is changing everything.
So, Peter, you had two great things. You mentioned automation, and that has been a big revolution the last 8 to 10 years. So
it's only been that long.
Yeah, we don't want, we don't want to have to do it manually. We don't want a person on the back of a truck.
Picking it up, tossing it in.
Think about it physically, it's very challenging.
Very challenging.
But also from a safety standpoint, unfortunately, we have too many distracted drivers, too many texting, and being outside the truck and on the back of a truck is a really dangerous place. So we have tried to encourage more of our cities and counties to move to automation because it's one driver, you have a cart, and it's all automated, and it's more efficient, but most importantly, it's safer for our drivers. So that's been a huge thing. But you mentioned AI. All of our trucks in Florida are called smart trucks. We have about 10 cameras on all of those trucks.
Every truck.
Yeah. So they are looking into the carts. They're looking into the hoppers of the commercial vehicles.
Recording it.
And it's recording.
So anybody playing some funny business, do not try to get away. Don't take some of that waste, some of that construction debris, and kind of flip it in there. They're going to catch you.
So if you put something wrong in there, we generally can see it right away. Now, another big challenge that we're having that the smart trucks and the AI is helping us with is batteries. And we have so many batteries at home and in businesses now, which are rechargeable with our lithium ion. And when those get in a truck and get smashed, they spark and catch fires. So we have, unfortunately, not just WM, but the whole industry, significant fires in our trucks, in our transfer stations, at our landfills, and even at our recycling centers. And when a driver, and this happens multiple times a week. And not just our company, every company, when they can see in their hopper that their load's on fire, they have to pull over and they have to eject that load because they can't afford to have the truck, a $400,000 truck.
Yeah, but if you're like in the middle of Coral Gables, you just picked up all this trash, all of a sudden there's a fire from some battery.
You are dumping it in a cul-de-sac.
You're dumping it in somebody's cul-de-sac.
Or last week along the Sawgrass Expressway. We had a tractor trailer, a large truck that was bringing material from Deerfield down to Pembroke Pines, caught on fire. They pulled over, and they had the fire departments of Sunrise shut down the Sawgrass in both directions, and you couldn't take the material out, so they had to get on top of the truck and were putting out the fire. So my whole point is batteries. Anything, computers, phones, your power tools in your garage, the vape, even your greeting cards that sing to you. They have a lithium battery. Do not put them in your trash.
So what do you do with that?
You take them. Lowe's and Depot and Home Depot and Staples will take those back, but also all the counties have household hazardous waste collection where you take your paint and your pool chemicals. Keep your batteries, put a little bit in a baggie, and then take those back there because it's a huge fire risk. And the state of Florida is looking into it. Broward County did just pass an ordinance that says you cannot put batteries in your trash or recycling, and many other counties are looking to do that. But it's a big issue. It's a safety issue. But WM last month had a whole recycling facility in Arizona burned to the ground.
My God.
So it's a big problem. And that's like if you're on an airplane nowadays, the they'll tell you if your phone goes between the seat, don't adjust your seat. Call your flight attendant. And the reason they say that is they don't want your seat to crush the phone and spark a fire.
Yeah. One of the other things that we offer, and for the multi-family front, is lamp tracker for the lights, mercury that goes into the water, that needs to be disposed of properly. So we have solutions for that. We also have it for batteries. And I get the question all the time, monitors, TV, how do we safely dispose of this? So we do have electronics recycling program available. And,
okay, so let's take a look at Greater Downtown Miami. So Greater Downtown Miami, you had about 11,500 condos from my numbers from 1963 to 2001. We then go from 11,500 to 33,000. Basically, we had 22,000. Now we just surpassed 60,000 condos in a 60-block stretch. How do you guys pick up all the trash? What do you do with all the trash? Are they consuming more? Are they consuming less? You got the Amazon scenario. I was shopping around for some rentals for a project that I was doing consulting on. They're actually charging at some apartment buildings now. And the numbers I'm referring to are just condos. These are not including rentals. They're charging you an Amazon fee to collect all your boxes, $25 a month, basically to be able to leave it there for the time being. How are you guys possibly dealing with all this? How does it all come about? When do you pick it up? When do you not pick it up? When is the city involved? Sometimes I see a city truck. Sometimes I see the WM green truck. Help people understand.
One of the things that I always recommend, and people don't really even think about it until you bring it up, is for example, I work with a restaurant who they're closing, and they said, hey, we're going to have a lot of furniture. How do we get rid of it? Can we arrange for, bulk pickup? And I said, well, consider donating it. We have a maritime professional who works with the cruise ships. They were doing a big renovation, and they said, hey, you have all these mattresses, just work on, instead of that going to landfill, donate it. It still has a little bit of life.
Salvation Army, Goodwill.
A lot of families are in need, and if there's a way to get a little extra life, for sure, let's do that and work on doing that. So that's one of the things that I always encourage, and people don't really think about. And it's that's great. Veterans, they'll come and pick up.
Some of these Salvation Armies and Goodwill, they're getting very selective. It's kind of like the Seinfeld episode for anybody who's a little bit older. Back in the day, Jerry Seinfeld had his program called Seinfeld, and there was an episode based on people love the top of a muffin. Yes. So they would pop the top of the muffin off, they'd eat that, and then they had the stem, and they said, okay, let's be good stewards, and let's donate it to the homeless shelter. And the people at the homeless shelter are like, why are you giving us the bottom? That's sort of because of that. So I'm just sort of wondering, just in general, Salvation Army's Goodwills, from what I've seen, they don't want this stuff anymore.
Yeah, they're a little selective. Yeah, the Goodwill that I donate to, they said, we don't want your electronics.
So what do you do in a circumstance like that?
Well, I mean, you obviously try to find reuse. That's your best thing. And maybe it's a school, maybe it's something else. But if it needs to be trashed, if there's no other option, and if it's not a recyclable material, we have more trucks on the road servicing those 30, 40,000 new condos. We do start, our drivers come in Miami-Dade County at 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning. They're out.
So they're coming right from the club directly. No. I'm joking. They're seeing everybody coming back from the club.
But they're on the roads really early, and they're servicing our commercial accounts before the traffic hits, because
so they're trying to front run it.
And but it's challenging, and to do that. But we make the commitment. We grow our fleet. We grow our.
All right. How big is the fleet? Give everybody's ballpark. Everybody. Put it in your head. How many of these? What do I call it? A trash truck, a garbage truck?
I think out of the Miami-Dade County, we're about 250 routes a day, about 250 trucks that go out from our Medley location. And again, each truck is about $350,000 to $400,000. So we're huge investment in these trucks and in our people. Yeah, and now some of the cities, do their own collection, and we certainly have competitors, but we're able to keep up with the growth. We have to call Houston and say we need more capital.
Houston, we have a problem. We've got too many people coming here.
And you know what? We get the equipment because we have a huge presence in Florida. Florida is a very important area for WM, and so customer experience and customer service is really a priority for us. But it's challenging, and I think the communities you serve, the high rises and things, in terms of making sure that they have facilities in their buildings that have adequate trash receptacles and they have recycling. But the ordinances.
Whenever I'm in the field, I always like to work with the chief engineers and the maintenance managers because they have full visibility of what's going on, how the services is getting consumed, and then the office staff too. And I always, coordinate, anticipate any influx of traffic that they're going to get. For example, one of my condos on the beach, over Passover, they're getting, generating a lot more trash. Okay, so what we're going to do is
you guys are actually...
and I work with a hotel on the beach that during Q1, when there's just so much stuff going on in South Florida, normally we don't do it, but we worked out a way because we had to.
All right. We're gonna test you on that. Yeah. Art Basel. During Art Basel, if anybody doesn't know, in December, everybody comes here for the art community. I think they do one in Hong Kong. They do another one in obviously in Switzerland. But you get into an Uber, and it will be an hour to go 2 miles or so. What do you guys do Art Basel weekend?
We got solutions.
You're not going to give it up.
For Formula One, we anticipated that because we're generating that, and right around the corner with FIFA, of course, we know it's coming.
So you got it all set up in advance.
We do compactors. We work with baling solutions. So and when I was just at the Lone Park for the volunteer work, you look at the balers. They're there. We're generating the trash, and we're taking it to our new plant up in Broward, which is 2 football fields long. And I encourage everyone to, reach out to me. I have a cool video. It's, to tour Murph is really pretty awesome as a garbage geek to see how that combination of the machines, the people, and just mad respect for the people that work in there because it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. And thank God for that.
What are the trends you're seeing in terms of developers? So I'm assuming when a developer's going to go forward and they're going to look to build, they need to put all this together as part of the maintenance. Maybe they're picking up. So do you primarily talk to property managers? Are you talking to developers? And then is it different if it's between a condo and a rental? Because you can see from the skyline photo behind us, there's a lot of product. There's a lot of new product coming online. So can you kind of talk about that? Is the need different in a condo versus a rental? And then do you actually talk to the developer, or do you talk to the property manager? Just so anybody watching this might be like, okay, maybe I ought to reach out to them. WM.
Yeah, well, I talk to everyone. So if it's a new build construction, I'm always asking for the blueprints because some people don't think about the recycling. A lot of people don't know recycling is required, and if you don't offer it on the multifamily front, you get fined. So, at the minimum, have a toter if toter service is available. So you're not going to get fined because they will cite that. And we do see that happening. So I work with a lot of the developers, making sure that there is a recycling component in the new build.
And then, you're involved early on, when they first go to city staff and they're trying to work it out. You get involved when they go before the design review board.
With the architect.
So you're working with the architect.
Yeah, we get blueprints for that. So the build out. And so if it's an afterthought and they're not building it in, we make sure it's integrated at the forefront, so it's not an issue. We're always looking for access points, making sure that the truck, we have a couple of different trucks. We have the front end load, making sure that we can safely do that. We're looking for wires, making sure that's not an issue. And the front end load, the one-arm bandits is what we call it. So
one-arm bandit,
toters that you.
And we're not talking slot machines, everybody. In case you go off the Seminole, we're talking about a different one-arm bandit.
And then for the compactors, we have the roll-off trucks. So we always are looking at heights, access points, and making sure that safety, we can service it.
You have the clearance.
Yeah. Are you seeing any new trends coming about? Every time there's a boom in development, technology has to advance simply because so many people are competing. Like, for instance, they have some places where they have car elevators. You drive in there, it goes up, stuff like that. Are you guys seeing any trends? Are there any trends coming ahead of the curve? And also, too, how do you decide where they put the trash chute? How do they decide in a building, like a floor plate, when you're walking like the hallway? Is there any kind of like science behind it, or there's like, okay, we can get more for this unit, therefore let's put the trash chute the other way? Because 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, when I'm going out and I'm throwing in the trash chute, I'm waking everybody up around me, and especially light sleepers. Can you kind of walk us through that new trends occurring in trash, especially in a high rise, as well as how do they decide where the trash chute goes?
Well,
I mean, you can talk about the trash chute, but in terms of new technology, there's a couple things. I mean, there is a movement to look at electric vehicles for trash. Right now, that doesn't really work because they just don't have the power equivalents, and so WM looks at that, but we're not heavily invested in it. But I think one of the cool things that we do is, it's hard to get people to work in yellow iron, construction workers, especially to work on a landfill on a hill. So now we have some of that's remote controlled.
Really?
We can find a lot of young men and women who want to sit in a room like this and just do a toggle switch.
So you're using drones of some sort, or kind of like they're doing in the Ukraine.
So they'll be miles away, and they're literally moving heavy yellow iron, which is the big dozers, the compactors and things, but they're doing it remotely. So they're driverless.
Wow.
So that's very cool. And then you mentioned drones. We have a whole program where we monitor all of our landfill facilities and do the mapping, see where the trash is going, make sure we're utilizing it efficiently, looking for any hot spots and things, but we do that with all drone technology. So we have several people full-time who are just monitoring our landfills in Florida and company-wide with drones. Interesting.
And then in terms of like the what you find in some of these units, and let me just kind of give you an idea of where I'm going. So when I look at a condo building, I see 300 units. I see 300 units. I see 1.5 people per unit. I see 1.5 parking spaces per unit. I see 0.5 dogs. Is there any kind of calculation in terms of garbage, trash, waste? When I look at 300 unit, how do you guys calculate that? How much trash is it going to need? How many dumpsters do you need? How often do you need to pick it up? And maybe what if it's a bougie building? Like Oscar likes the bougie building. So if it's a bougie building, are they going to consume more trash? And what about if it is a building that maybe has lower density, bigger units versus a building that's much more New York, 600, 700 square foot unit versus 2,000, 2,500 like Oscar prefers?
Yeah, I do work with a lot of property managers where we have multiple enclosures. And I always ask, okay, are there families, because they're going to be generating more trash? Are they retirees that aren't generating so much trash? And just asking those probing questions and finding out, how are you consuming this? Okay, well, then what we're going to have to do is we're going to increase service on these ones because they're generating a lot more trash than the other areas. So, you always have to just be working closely with the board members. I do that on the regular basis because they're going to have full visibility, and just keep an open dialogue, whether it's with us or any other hauler. I mean, I always encourage board members get involved and property managers stay involved and just anticipate those solutions. So it's not a headache, and it's easy to resolve really quick.
And to add to that, one of the things with our smart trucks, the cameras, the AI, they're taking pictures of every house, every business they service. And if they see that it's overflowing, that the dumpster's overflowing or the lid is up, then that pictures get sent to a team of people, and they contact the customer and say, you have an overage. You're getting more service than you're paying for, and they might get a charge, but also the key is to right size them to make sure they're having. So hey, you're only getting service twice a week. You need to be serviced 3 times a week, or you only have a 6-yard container. You need an 8-yard. So every service we do, we're trying to make sure the customer has the most efficient, optimal service. So they're getting the service they need, and they're paying for the service they're getting. But and then their area is kept clean and neat. So it's a program we call the Clean Program with many of our municipalities. And the idea is, if all of your businesses are getting the optimal amount of service, just what they need, then your community is cleaner. And there are times like now when we're going into the summer, a lot of our businesses are calling us and saying, hey, we're not as busy in the summer in Florida. So we don't need 3 times a week. We need 2 times a week. So there are some seasonal where we will downsize, right-size their service for 3 or 4 or 5 months. And then we get that call in October or November, hey, my residents are back.
Yeah.
The restaurants are full. We need to increase service. So we're continually working with our customers to make sure they just have the optimal level and that they're getting what they need at the right time.
Yvonne, I want to ask you, when does it separate between WM taking it over on maybe one of these buildings and when the city, like City of Miami, they'll come through with theirs, and it's not Waste Management, it's not WM. Sorry, I keep going. I'm old school.
Yeah.
So it's not WM, but it's actually the City of Miami. What's the cutoff? In case anybody's wondering, we're recording this in South Miami.
Yeah.
How does it work when the city or the municipality runs it versus they bring in WM?
Yeah, I work with a lot of boutique townhouses, and that threshold is 9 units. So
9 units.
Yes, yeah. So it's going to get serviced by the city if it's a smaller, a lot of duplexes.
So that will be the cutoff. What about on the commercial space side, like a little strip mall or maybe Arbutter's? Arbutter's is a hot dog joint right up the street here. Grant's always there. They named the hot dog after him, so he tells everybody got to get the Grant Miller. I don't know. I had it. It was but anyways. But what about like a restaurant? Is that ever the city, or is that going to be WM? How does that kind of play out?
Commercial. Yeah, commercial. And one of the cool things that we just rolled out is a tool called Elements, which that before didn't exist, but now, so if a building isn't recycling, what we can do is optimizing their garbage by adding recycling. And with that reporting, what we can do is show them the metrics of what amount of percentage of material got diverted from the landfill into a recycling plant, which is pretty cool. So once the people understand and they can see the numbers, they see, wow, these are really good changes that make sense, and it's just a very much better consumption for everybody, for the board members to have visibility, and those numbers don't lie.
All right, we're getting close to the end, and I'm having so much fun talking trash. I like to talk trash, so but this is actually intelligent trash talking. I guess my last area. Everybody remembers a few Super Bowls ago. There was a Super Bowl going on, and all of a sudden there was like a press conference. All this stuff was going on because the trash incinerator out in the rail area. Everybody remembers it, right off of the turnpike, just west of the Palmetto. It burned down, and then there's a big battle. What are we going to do? Are we going to rebuild it? We're not going to. Darrell, at the time when they first put it in place, it wasn't what it is today. It was warehouses. Now you got a bunch of luxury houses out there. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And where's the trash going? Is it still there? They taking it down to Mount Trashmore? They taking it up to Pompano? What exactly are they doing with the trash?
Yeah, that fire was a challenge, was a tragedy really for the Doral area, but also for all of Miami-Dade County, because that was owned by Covanta, run by for Miami-Dade County, operated by Covanta. And when that plant burned down, that waste energy facility, Miami-Dade had a crisis on its hands. Where is all of that trash going to go? And one of the things that WM was really proud about is that my team in my office was able to stand up a waste by rail project within about 3 to 4 months, and it's been operating since that time.
Whoa, you got to walk us through this.
So
you're taking trash and you put it on a train, and you're sending it up north.
Yeah. So the train.
Well done. Send it to Tampa.
So whether WM collects it or a competitor or one of the cities or counties, it comes to a couple of different transfer stations in Miami-Dade County. It's put in containers in rail cars, and we utilize Florida East Coast Railway, which has an existing line. And so there's about 100 containers a day on one train. It's a dedicated trash train now, just for that trash. And it goes up to Fort Pierce, where Florida East Coast Railroad has a rail yard, and it's taken off and put onto trucks and trucked to Okeechobee landfill. Because right now we don't have a rail that goes all the way to Okeechobee. Florida East Coast Railroad's trying to build a new facility closer to Okeechobee. So there is some trucks, but 100 cars a day, a big percentage of Miami-Dade County's waste is going to Okeechobee landfill. There is space there. The exciting thing about that landfill is it has has a renewable natural gas plant that opened in the fall. WM spent $90 million there, and also at Medley landfill in Medley to put in renewable natural gas. So the methane that's created in that landfill by Miami-Dade's trash is taken out, put it through this process in this plant, and is actually processed into compressed natural gas and put into the gas pipeline. So the good news is there's a sustainable alternative, and it's great. And by moving that waste by rail rather than trucking it, which was what happened for the first couple months, is the amount of environmental benefits, greenhouse gas savings is amazing. So it's an environmentally wonderful solution for Miami-Dade County. I know the county is still looking long-term about a waste-to-energy plan and other things, but the fact that we were able to come up with a solution to a big challenge was exciting, and we're pleased to partner with the county on it.
Oscar, did you have any questions? Oscar, do you have any questions?
I do always.
Thanks for joining us. You're only like an hour and a half late. Thanks for coming out.
My first question is, who gave you the show? I can't believe this. That's my first question. The second question would be, how important is this issue to our residents? Obviously, it's an enormous issue that everyone thinks and talks about every day. That's my camera. And we want to make sure that we communicate like the top 3 issues that you think are the most important. What are those issues?
We already went over it. We're at the end of the show. Once again, you're running late. That was supposed to be here an hour and a half ago.
It's true.
All right, Oscar. So what we're going to do? We're going to wind it up because we're at the end, and So the premise of the show is called Miamees On Fire. If Oscar was here at the beginning, he would explain what on fire means. But basically,
do you want me to do that? Do you want me to introduce you?
Is it real or is it hyperbole? So the premise coming in is South Florida's approach to dealing with trash when all the new people coming down?
Right.
Are they doing it adequately? Are they ahead of the curve? Are they sort of falling behind? So the way we do it is we go up by heat level in terms of how it's being addressed, and we tie it into a local cuisine.
Right.
So if they're not doing a good job, it's going to be cold.
Okay, so
it'll be like a bagel and a schmear.
I have a question.
And now if it's really, really, really going, it might be like a Nicaraguan fritanga where that heat is just burning, or whatever the case might be. So we have to decide, Oscar, based on the conversation by Dawn McCormick, as well as Yvonne Nelson, do you think Miami and South Florida's approach to waste management, to trash, to garbage, to landfills, is Miami really on fire, or is this hyperbole?
Well, if it was on fire, there would definitely not be any development because you can smell it everywhere. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I guess the fire was a few years ago when out in Medley.
That's right. So I think that the biggest issue for new business is cost. And that cost is associated with very specific resources that have to be applied to the business. You got water, electric, trash. So one of the issues that my clients who are leasing spaces have to deal with every day is how much is it going to cost to take away my garbage? And in my mind, I don't know that the county has a comprehensive program to help new business get started in an efficient way. Like I see Griffin saying, why does it take so long?
Ken Griffin at Citadel, Oscar, these are one of his bougie buddies.
Ken
Griffin, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, Larry Page.
We're on a nickname basis, so I call him Kenny. So Kenny, he said, why is it that it takes so long to get a permit? Why can't AI help us?
What does that have to do with trash?
So
that has nothing to do with waste.
It does. Can you give me 2 minutes to get there?
I know, but if you would have got here an hour and a half ago, we wouldn't have had
this is what happens with Peter. Peter has to control the conversation no matter what.
Go ahead.
So anyway, he says, why is it that it takes so long to get a permit? And City of Miami is notorious for taking forever to get a permit.
Speaking of
but I can tell you that City of Miami Springs, I just had a client that was dealing with that, and they would go to the permit office and they would find out from a different person that they had more things that they had to close out, and then they spoke to the original person. They said, no, that person was wrong. So my question is, why is it that the county can't get everything under one roof in terms of, let's say, a new business?
We're talking about waste management.
Yes,
we're talking about trash.
A new business plan.
They need a garbage service agreement.
This is what I'm talking about.
To get the certificate of occupancy.
That's right. So why is it that the county can't say to the person from the beginning, everything, this is your entire cost. Like the day you walk in to get a permit or whatever it is, your business license, this is what it's going to cost you. Instead of having so many questions, and then 6 months down the road, a year down the road, the agreement changes and suddenly you're paying double for your garbage. I mean, if business is going to survive and thrive in this city and in the county overall, they have to work together. And why is it that it's not happening? Because I can tell you for sure, the permit in every city,
It sounds like it's happening. They just described how
every
after the
county
fire.
is not happening the way it should to improve access for new business, which is the one that is more likely to fail than anything else. So what can you guys do? And in terms of being on fire, I think that is the hottest issue. It's permitting, it's access, it's opening. This county, all the departments, every single private company that has a contract with the county or the city or a city should be bending over backwards, forced by commissioners to do everything in their power to set up those businesses to succeed from day one, rather than holding them back, rather than waiting a year to have the water inspector come out because they have to test the water and you don't even have water in your space. So how is it that the garbage piece of the equation can be streamlined more? That's what I'm curious about. To me, that is the hottest issue. That is what takes it from a bagel schmear, like Peter likes to say, to a fritanga, to the highest level. If you could do that, everyone's going to describe waste management the same way.
WM, if you were here, you would know.
Yes.
We talked about Wayne Huizenga.
Yes.
We talked about the Dolphins. We talked about the Panthers.
We talked
the
about
Marlins.
Wayne.
We talked about all of
Wayne.
it.
I remember
So,
Wayne. Yeah.
Oscar, to answer your question, when I'm out in the field, I'm always looking for new construction, and because people don't consume it, garbage is an afterthought for them, especially new
That's
business owners. I see it all the time. You know, you really have to get up in front of them, say, hey, show me where you're going to put your garbage enclosure. Let me anticipate what kind of business are you going to be doing. I just set up a virtual reality company, and they don't know how to consume garbage because nobody thinks of it. So
Isn't the garbage virtual?
it really is on us to understand, okay, what type of business is it, and what are those? Are you going to be consuming glass, cardboard? Who are your customers? And even on the multifamily front, sustainability is becoming a lot more important. I know it's a huge marketing point for a lot of our hotel clients. We have a lot of Europeans and Latins who are way ahead of the curve as far as understanding how recycling works, and we're doing our part to make sure that we're helping those businesses out. So yeah, we anticipate that, and like I said, I work with them to get that service agreement signed so that they can get the blessings and the permits that they need from the county.
So you recognize that there is a need to have more engagement with county departments to make it more streamlined. Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, and also on our end, I do everything that I can to educate our customers. We have great tools. We have Amazon's changed the game in the industry for every industry, and so we've invested a lot in our digital technologies to roll out My WM app. So at everyone's fingertips. So once you sign up, you have visibility to your invoices. You can, if you need an extra pickup. I'm working with a new restaurant that's setting up in Brickell right now, and I get emails at 3 a.m. midnight saying, hey, I need a extra garbage pickup for my trash and recycling tomorrow. And I'm like, yep, we're setting up the ticket, we're taking care of that. But it's an afterthought, and so it's on us to make sure that you're working with your representative, making sure that you have that open dialogue, open communication to anticipate that before it becomes a problem.
So is that based on volume? Like, for example, Brickell has a lot of restaurants, but maybe suburban Kendall, the restaurant dynamic is more spread out unless it's in a shopping center area that has a concentration. Is it based on volume, or how does that work?
Well, we have routes, and we have route analysts who are constantly looking at volumes of so if we have we want to have the most efficiency. So if Brickell needs more trucks and more routes and more frequency, then some of the men and some of the trucks move there, men and women who drive, and others. So we have very sophisticated models of efficiency and routes and frequency. So we're constantly working on that to make sure that everybody gets the service they need.
And we spoke about transfer stations.
We spoke about that. We spoke about landfills. We talked about
Yeah,
We talked about the trash train.
Look at that.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming out.
Come on.
Much appreciated.
Always.
Much appreciated. What I can tell you is they're publicly traded. They are ahead of the curve. Their technology seems to really be keeping up to date with what's going on. So
Look at that.
I got to ask you, and I don't blow a lot of smoke.
Never.
Oscar's always kissing. He bends the knee like he can't believe.
Never.
So, Oscar, is South Florida dealing with its waste management, its trash,
So you said
its
you dealt.
garbage issue?
You dealt with,
Give us a heat level.
with Mount Trashmore and all those issues.
I told the story. I drove up there. It started raining. I was up there. I was
Right.
I see vultures. I see seagulls, even though they call them
Right.
gulls now. The smell. Yeah, we went through all of it.
Fun
It's
fact,
really
we actually
fascinating.
have hawks to control the seagulls at the landfill. The anatomy of our
Are you
landfill
bringing them
is
in for
pretty
like
cool.
the UAE
They're
or like
trained-
Doha and stuff? Where
they're
do they have the
trained to-
hawk markets?
So we
To
have
get them
predator
away.
bird service.
Yeah.
We
It's a
use
thing.
predator birds,
Wow.
hawks at our landfills
Yeah.
to control
That's
the birds.
fascinating.
And they do
How did you
tours.
miss that? You know why you missed it? Because I wasn't here. That's
Listen.
why you missed it.
And they do tours. So I was suggesting to the audience, reach out to Grant Miller,
Yeah.
have him get a bus,
A
and
tour
go
of
up there,
what?
do a tour of the landfill.
Are you
Slumdog
out of your
Millionaire.
mind?
The landfill
Slumdog
and
Millionaire.
the
That is the tourist
Crazy.
destination in Bombay or Mumbai.
All right. This is what I'm going to say. That I have a very good contact who did a tour of the recycling center.
Mhm.
And this person told me that the smell was so intense that they couldn't hold
When
their
was
food down.
that,
This
though?
was like 2 years ago.
Okay,
That's
that was
objective.
our new plant.
That's objective.
Come to our new one.
We have a
Brand
new
new.
plant
I
that we
can't
just
wait.
opened in
I'm
February.
going to bring lunch. And I'm going to go to the new one.
Yeah, I'm going to invite you.
All right, please. I promise you this. If you invite me, I will go. And I'm going to take Peter.
I don't have a car.
Yeah, I have to drive him because I'm his cuber.
My Cuban Uber.
That's right.
That's cute.
So, Oscar, does South Florida have between public sector, private sector, do we have the trash situation under control? The
This is what I'm
garbage
going to
situation?
say. That the jury is out on me.
You got to give us a heat level.
I would say that right now,
You're going to recuse yourself because
I'm
you
gonna
missed
recuse
99%
because I missed
of the conversation?
99%, and I haven't gone on this tour. So this is what I promised to our viewers. I'm going to go on the tour.
You and Grant. Take Grant with you.
All right,
Grant Miller.
and you are going to.
No.
Yes.
I've toured.
Peter's going
I
to.
went up there.
I'm going to take all these guys. We're all going to go up there, and we're going to test the waters, so to speak, and we're going to figure it out, and then I'm going to give my verdict on
That's fair.
on the heat index that we have.
That's fair.
All right.
And then, I mean, you guys can comment if you want, but what I would say is, I'm thoroughly impressed with what WM's doing. Honest to God, and I'm thoroughly impressed with everything. How you're ahead of the curve. How you actually have cameras on all these trucks. You're paying attention to stuff. You're tracking it. You have quadrants. We talked about people losing rings. We talked about the Brit who had all this Bitcoin on a thumb drive.
Your
He
friend
lost
the
it.
Brit?
No, the different Brit. But what they're doing is really sort of ahead of the curve. So what I would say is,
Yes. I got to hear
I
this.
think the trash management, the waste management right now is probably going to be a Haitian griot in terms of the heat level.
All
They're
right.
burning that pork belly. They're getting it going.
Incredible.
And it's just make sure you don't get close to it because you got all that hair on your knuckles, Oscar. It's all going to get
I
singed.
do. It is. It
So
is.
I think that the waste management and the trash is probably under control
All
based
right.
on everything that I've heard. Thanks for coming out, though. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, I try. Since it's our show, I try.
So I want to thank Yvonne Nelson. She's a senior account executive. I want
Look
to
at that.
thank Dawn McCormick. No relation to the Spice People.
That's it.
Dawn McCormick, Director of Communications, former TV journalist, former anchor.
Oh.
Thank you all for making the time. Thanks for coming down from Boca, Dawn. Thank you, Yvonne, for coming out here. It was everything you promised. Oscar, thanks for giving me a ride home. That's much,
That's why
much
I came
appreciated.
today. You should be nicer to me. I have to drive you home.
Otherwise, you'll be walking.
Remember, everybody, this is Miamees On Fire every Thursday at 1 o'clock. Should Oscar decide to turn out.
Deem you worthy to have my presence. Exactly.
Take care, everybody. Have yourself a good weekend.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank
Ciao.
you, Oscar.